This show is sponsored by Horizon HVAC, who you can count on for all of your heating and cooling needs. Also by CES Construction, who specializes in bathroom and kitchen remodels. Episode 6, Mindset Radio Podcast, here with David Boardman, also known as DB Fit on Instagram. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to open up this podcast with a question, and my question is, what does mindset mean to you?
Mindset to me is something that you have to adapt and adopt internally. For me, my mindset is I have a lot of non-negotiable internal conversations, whether it's a task that needs to get done, whether it's a goal that I'm trying to achieve or orienting to, just staying determined, staying persistent, just manifesting all of that into that internal non-negotiable that you have with yourself, whether it's fitness, whether it's work related, whether it's personal relationships, and doing everything at 100%.
I think a lot of people get it mistaken when you talk about mindset. It doesn't necessarily have to be just, working out or, it's an overall lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely.
And everything you put in, whether it's like you said, relationships,
Yep.
work, if you give consistency, persistency, and those non-negotiables, a lot happens very quick.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're ready for it, then, a lot of the times you can really take advantage of those practices that you put in place. What's your training schedule like every day? Do you work out pretty much every day?
Yeah, pretty much. I usually 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
One of my days might be like an active rest day, but I'm always trying to move, whether it's a walk with the family, whether it's a run with the dog, or like a ruck, maybe a Peloton ride on an active rest day. I'm always trying to move, yard work, something. I can't really sit still and stay stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
So while I might be resting from the weights, I'm still trying to move my body. Maybe it's stretching, maybe it's some yoga stuff, some breath work, something to just keep my body moving. Now that it's summer, Saturdays, Sundays come around and I got an opportunity to hit a pool, just being in the water, moving my body, stretching.
Do you? Yeah, I actually love pool workouts. I do this workout for my back where I kind of open my palms and I go this way and just go from one side to the pool to the other, and the workout that it gives you are like your upper shoulders and your traps.
It's crazy.
Yeah, water workouts are fun.
And cardio wise, and it takes all the stress and pressure off your joints. So
yeah.
If you're dealing with like low back pain, knee pain,
yeah,
pool's a great way to get it in and feel good without feeling the impact on those, your ankles, your knees, your back, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the workouts you do are very unique and they're kind of geared towards what keeps you not just staying in one spot, like treadmill or elliptical. It seems like you do a lot of a lot of drill stuff.
I would say I have an unorthodox style of training. I do follow kind of a program, a plan right now, currently, and for the past, I'd say 6 or 7 months, I've been on like a push, pull, leg split, whether I rotate that twice throughout the week. But I'm trying to stay functional. For me now at almost 33, being a father, police officer, I got to think longevity. I've had some serious injuries that I've had to overcome. So for me, it's not about just trying to look big and strong and lift heavy weights to say that I did it. I want to be able to do this for the long run, to play with my kids when they're older, to outwork my kids in sports, and even to the point where hopefully I become a grandparent, and being able to be 67 years old and still run around and pick up my grandkids. That's kind of where my outlook has transitioned to, coming from a former athlete, then, trying to just play the long game now. As far as my training, I do train very intense. I like to keep it fun. I think about fitness and not getting into that rut where you're plateauing or complacent with your training. Fitness should be fun, whether you're experienced or you're just starting out. So for me, I'm always coming up with new, workouts or just off the cuff, whether it's something I found, something that I kind of twisted a little bit, or something that I just came up off the head. And, how can I make this fun? Mm-hmm. So like right now with the summer, I love taking my workouts outdoors. You get the sun, you get the natural movement of the ground, the grass. It's, going to the beach, working out in the sand, the water, that's fun for me, and I think that's important to keep it motivating, you
Yeah.
know.
When did you get that longevity mindset? Because I know that me personally, and I think a lot of people who are into lifting, there's a stage that we go through where it's just like lift as heavy as you can,
Yep.
do as much as you can, and in the 2 hour window you have at the gym. When did you develop that? Like, let's kind of try to stay around for the long haul.
Yeah. So actually, last year, last June, so coming up on a year, um, when I was at my job as a police officer, I got into a foot chase where I had to tackle a suspect, and it ultimately ruptured my L5 disc in my back. And that day and the day after, I felt okay. I got up, I was fine that night. The next morning, I woke up a little sore. And then the few days after that, it took a turn for the worse, and I ended up needing emergency surgery to remove the whole disc and shave down a part of my back. And
How long did that set you back?
so, on average, that recovery is about a year. I did have a pretty miraculous recovery. I was able to get back to work in about 5 months, and get back to fitness and working out. But in that time, I had to have some serious talks with myself about the way that I used to train and the way that now I have to train. So it used to be, how much can I deadlift today? How much can I bench press? And I had to ask myself, why? What's it worth? Like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Is it cool for an Instagram video or to tell your buddies, hey, I deadlifted 800 pounds today? Sure. But what's that going to get me in 10 years when I can't even get up off the ground, or I can't pick my kid up, or, I'm struggling to put my socks on? So during my recovery, I couldn't even hold my son. He was 6, 7 months old. And to not be able to hold my son because of a back injury that I suffered, yes, it happened at work, but it easily could have happened just in life at the gym. And so I had to really kind of transition my mindset for that longevity. It's not about how much weight you can lift anymore. It's, I'd rather be able to do more reps and go into another movement and stay fluid, stay, um, you know, moving versus just trying to do something for one rep to say I did it. So, and obviously your back is something that you got to take serious.
Yeah.
It's what holds you up,
Yeah.
So,
You seem like you'd like CrossFit. Have you ever gotten CrossFit?
so CrossFit for me, I wouldn't say I like CrossFit. I'd say I like a lot of circuit training
Yeah.
where you pick a few movements and you go right into it, right into it, right into it. Almost like a superset for like a bodybuilding workout. And then again, that comes from me, like being a police officer. I have to train to an extent where they say it's like you can only train for a job so hard that can kill you, right? So we have to train. A lot of police officers train to that moment to prepare for that what if somebody attacks me, if you're in a fight for your life. And those fights can happen 30 seconds, a
Yeah.
minute,
Yeah.
but it might feel like an eternity. So while bodybuilding movements are great, I love them, I do them, you know, I'd rather be able to go, back squat 225 pounds right into a quarter-mile run, right into, some medicine ball slams where I'm constantly moving, constantly going to build that metabolic conditioning where, you're just a machine. You just go, 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 go. CrossFit gets kind of like misconstrued a little bit with that circuit training. I think CrossFit, you think CrossFit, you're doing a ton of Olympic lifting. You're doing a lot of gymnastics movements. And for me, like,
Those
I'm
are very injury prone. All
very
that
injury
stuff.
prone, very, very injury prone. I have a lot of friends that compete in CrossFit, and then I've done CrossFit for a long time. I did it myself for a couple months, but it wasn't for me. Like, I found myself picking and choosing what workouts I was doing based off of the
Yeah.
day
Yep.
because, I had knee issues playing college football. So, I used to struggle with squats. So when I would see an overhead squat day at the CrossFit gym, I was thinking to myself, well, there's no need for me to overhead squat. I'm never going to do this. This doesn't pertain to me and my lifestyle.
Right.
And
And ultimately, what does it do?
doing snatches
Right.
and doing handstand walks and ring muscle ups and stuff. It's great if you can do that. I implore everybody, do whatever kind of movement you can do. If CrossFit's your jam, good for you. But I don't see the need for like an accountant or a banker or a nurse to be doing these snatch grip deadlifts and overhead presses. And it's like, if CrossFit kind of just eliminated some of those things, I feel like they'd have a lot more retention within their gyms, way less injuries. I talk to so many of my friends that have been doing CrossFit and they're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. My shoulders are busted. And it kind of comes down to some of those movements that I just don't really think that they need to be thrown into the mix. Now, if you're a CrossFit athlete and you're competing at the games, then yeah, of course, because that's what they do. But those are elite level competitors.
Yeah.
Not your everyday 9 to 5 work behind a desk and you're just trying to get a workout.
And that's how you get hurt.
That's how you get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because it's like one day you might lift a total volume of 10,000 pounds and then the next day it's 20,000 pounds, and then 2 days later it's 1,000 pounds. So it's just very up and down with a lot of the CrossFit that I see. I know a lot of great CrossFit gyms, a lot of great CrossFit athletes and coaches, and they know what they're doing. But for the everyday person, I just don't see it. Yeah. But for me, for my training, I like to take that circuit training aspect of what CrossFit does, hopping on a Rogue bike and you're going max sprints on a bike right into maybe some burpees or some step ups, into a run, into some pull-ups. So that aspect I love. But eliminating some of the crazy Olympic lifting, and that's where you get a lot of the injuries.
What are the qualifications to become a police officer fitness-wise these days? I noticed that a lot of officers I see, they start off in really good shape.
Yep.
And then I see the decline happen fairly quick.
There's always a decline. And unfortunately, in law enforcement, we have like one of the highest rates of obesity throughout the country.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
So they don't have qualifications throughout the position that you need to maintain a certain,
to
physique?
get hired, there's a statewide qualification. It depends on it. One, if you're male or female, and then they have age brackets where, if you're 20 to 29, these are the standards you have to hit. If you're older, the standards lessen a little bit as you get up in age. And obviously, like I said, male and female. But right now it's push-ups in a minute, sit-ups in a minute. You have to complete a 1.5 mile run. And then there's a 300-meter sprint that you have to complete. So those are the 4 tests that they make you go through. And obviously there's time hacks and rep in amounts that you have to at least hit a bare minimum. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know like for the 1.5 miles, if you're a male between the age of 20 and 29, you have to hit a 1.5 miles in under about 12 minutes and 38 seconds. So,
but not too bad.
Once you're hired, you have to do this every single year.
Do you agree with that?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that there should be, a mandatory kind of physical test of some sort, whether maybe it's not the standard that you do to get in,
but at least every
some
year.
sort,
Yeah.
At our department, we offer a volunteer annual physical test that if you want to partake in the test, you get compensated for it, and you do have to pass at certain standards, but then it's voluntary. So, and it's tough because you get into that, well, you can't make it mandatory because then if you have somebody that's dealing with an ailment or, just maybe not able to perform the movement anymore due to their age or prior surgeries or injuries or something like that, it gets into like a contractual thing. You can't make me do this. It's tough. It's
do
one of those.
People take advantage of that? Like, is there situations where your captain or a higher up will pull somebody aside and be like, hey, like you gotta start getting back into shape a little bit? Like, is that kind of frowned upon because of the laws? Like,
it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's frowned upon. It's not heard of.
Yeah.
And it's just because that's been the status quo for so long. But right now in law enforcement, not just in Rhode Island or my department, but throughout the country, we're dealing with a huge retention issue. One, a hiring issue. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore because of the day and age that we live in with media and just everything that's going on. You've got the argument of a lot of police officers are highly overworked and highly underpaid for the job.
Agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. For the job,
I do too.
For the job that we do.
Yeah, I do too.
And we're dealing with that. We're dealing with the retention. People are getting on the job and then finding that it's not for them. So they're either quitting, they're transferring to different departments with higher pay. You know, a lot of these smaller departments, like for example in Rhode Island, you know, these 20, 30 man departments, these guys are getting ordered in on their days off. They're working mandatory 12, 16-hour shift overtime, you know, and they're run down. And like you said, you see a lot of decline with physical fitness once they become a police officer, and then, you know, 4 or 5 years on the job, you see that decline. They add 10, 20 pounds onto their body weight and they're no longer in shape. Well, it goes back to being overworked. And then you got guys that are money hungry, so they work a lot of overtime and details. So then the fitness goes out the door because they'd rather work than work out.
Yeah.
You've got the shift work. So, you know, nobody's meant to be up during the time you're supposed to go to sleep. And
So you think if you were a little bit more staffed, that would be something that could be maybe, you think that they would stay in shape? Not stay in shape, but you think that would be less of a problem if there was more staff and you guys were working less hours? And
it could. I mean, for example, in Warwick, we don't really have a big staffing issue. We're pretty fortunate, you know, in Warwick to have a great department. We're well maintained as far as manpower. But you look at some of the smaller departments, and like I said, these guys are getting ordered every single day. You know, imagine going to work and you know you're not being able to go home after your set shift, you know, and then on your day off, you're getting called in, right? Because there's just such a shortage. So your quality of life goes down the drain.
do you see a lot of guys come in that have huge potential? Like when I was boxing, I used to see guys walk into the gym and we'd be like, that kid's going to be a stud. And, you know, he gets hit and, you know, we see a totally different person. Or do you see that a lot in the department? Like you see someone like this guy's going to be legit and something happens and you see a different side where he loses interest. Does that happen often?
Yeah, a lot, because, you know, a lot of police officers, we're all like-minded individuals. We're that alpha male type or alpha female, probably a former athlete, probably former military. And all those jobs, whether you're a former athlete or military, involve some realm of physical fitness, you know, to maintain that position, to maintain that ability to compete in a sport. So, you know, it's not so much a lack of potential. It's like what you said, there's that decline. And it's because of all those other factors. And you throw stress on top of that and a lack of sleep. Guys working third shift,
Totally
you know,
can totally
you're
change a
taping your
person.
eyelids open at night
Yeah.
just to get through an 8 hour shift,
Yeah.
you know, and then you go home and it's like, where do you sleep? You know, and if you're if you're a husband and a father and you got kids and you got sports that you got to take your kids to, it's like, that's tough.
How did you learn how to turn that switch on and off? The David who's a police officer and the David who's a husband.
It's tough. My wife always, she kind of busts my chops a lot when we go out to dinner or we're at, you know, a shopping mall or a concert or something like that. My head's always on a swivel. It's hard for me to kind of always go into that at ease relaxation mode. And I do, you know, I'm not always like constantly on the alert, but you know, I'm mindful of my surroundings at any given point, and that's just something that kind of gets drilled into you as a police officer. You know, that's you have to be like that at work,
Yeah.
and obviously dealing with the things that we deal with, the people, the calls, the situations. You know, we see that stuff outside of work too.
I think that's a huge trait of an alpha male is to protect and provide.
Absolutely.
And I'm also the same way. And I'm not even a police officer. Like we went to Philadelphia this weekend, and I didn't even want to walk on the streets. I wanted to at least be in a car and Uber everywhere because my head's always on a swivel.
Yep.
I'm always looking at my surroundings. I'm always, you know, facing the door. There's certain things that I think a true alpha male will kind of show when, you know, that protect and provide comes out, where you know, you get the average person who kind of just is more lackadaisical about their everyday life, and they kind of will have no problem walking down a weird street or walking into a door that's kind of like that has a camera. Remember the door?
Yep.
And I was like, this we're not going here.
Feels
She wanted to
weird.
get a massage, and we pulled up to this door, you know, downtown Philly, and I'm looking around. I see two cameras. The door's locked. The street wasn't nice. The door was dirty. The sidewalk was dirty. There was just things that I saw, and I was like, this
Yeah, it made
isn't.
you feel
It
uncomfortable.
made me feel that type of, all right, I got to protect.
Yeah.
And I don't feel comfortable in this position right now, and I'm gonna, you know, do everything I can to protect her. So we turned around and, You know, I told her, and she supports me with anything I do. She understands, and she trusts my instincts a lot. So if I see a situation like that, I'm like, you know,
Yeah, you go with your gut.
you got to go with your gut.
Oh, yeah.
How important is that, going with your gut, that first instinct that you get, especially as a police officer, when you have a gut feeling about something? Say you walk up to a door to serve somebody papers, or you know, explain how that, be on alert. You know how you control that, and that,
Well, you have to trust your gut,
yeah,
because a lot of situations we walk into, whether it's a car stop or, like you said, walking up to a door to serve a simple paper or a subpoena to somebody, or you're going to a call for service, whether it's an alarm or domestic, those are the situations that are the most vulnerable. And that's where people get hurt, is when they get complacent. Oh, this is just another alarm. This is just another house that I'm walking into for an argument, and those are the instances, those are the cases where you let your guard down. That's when something happens, you know. So you always have to be on alert. You got to trust your gut. If it doesn't look right, smell right, feel right, it's probably not right.
yeah,
It is better to be safe than sorry.
yes, yes.
So you go through those extra precautions, that extra step, to maintain that you're going to go home at the end of the night, that you're going to leave that call safe, you know.
So your first call that you've gotten, that you had to pull over somebody and may have been a sketchy character, and you had to walk up to that window. What was that like?
Yeah, it's always, they call it the unknown traffic stop. And that's like 90% of the car stops that you make. It's unknown. You really don't know who's behind that wheel. We have a very limited amount of information based off of when we run a plate, who the registered owner might be or who's driving. And we have some other intel that we might be able to find on our computer, who's driving that car. But for the most part, it's unknown. You don't know if that person's an axe murderer. You don't know if that person's just a stand-up guy or girl. So, you have to treat every car stop as it's the same. You can't just assume, okay, this is just a run-of-the-mill, routine traffic stop, they call it. There's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. Every traffic stop has to be treated the same, as far as your tactics, as far as your safety, approaching the car in a safe way, so it can get hairy, it can definitely get the hair on the back standing up.
What was that like on your first one?
I can't say that I remember my first actual car stop. I think I was probably just so nervous,
Yeah.
being, having a training officer kind of like watching over my neck and back, seeing what I was doing. I was
Yeah.
mainly making sure if I was saying the right thing and doing the right thing. So I wasn't really, I don't say I would worry about like being nervous. I had some prior experience working in a as a correctional officer, and dealing with hard criminals, being able to talk to those people. That definitely helped pave the way for me transitioning into law enforcement. So I mean, I had some confidence. But like I said, it's no traffic stops the same.
Yeah.
You know,
That display of confidence is important.
huge.
Yeah, especially in that type of position, because you show any kind of weakness, they may feel like they have the upper hand on the situation,
Yep.
and that I'm sure that situation can go left really quick
Yeah,
if you
and
do
just
not
like
display that
we as police
confidence.
officers are constantly reading people that we deal with, the same thing comes back to us. Especially when it comes to criminals. Criminals are constantly looking us up and down. Is the boots shined? Are your pants ironed? Do you look like a fat slob? Do you have donut sprinkles coming off your vest? It's, they read us just as much as we read them. So they're looking for an advantage. They're looking for that next step. Can I make a run on this person? You know, can I win this guy over in a fight if I have to? They read us like a book just as much as we do them. Not just criminals, but everyday people too.
Yeah.
So having that command presence, and I think that's where fitness comes super, super important as a law enforcement officer, because if you look like you're in shape,
Yeah.
if you look squared away, like I said, your boots are shined, your uniform's pressed, it's in order, and you look physically fit, that person's probably a little less apt to do something, you know,
Yeah.
and they're probably going to look at you and be like, okay, this guy knows, it sounds like he's, knows what he's talking about. So I'm going to probably listen versus take a chance, and those are unfortunately the latter half, the police officers that are out of shape, that kind of look sloppy. We all have them in every profession, but when speaking about law enforcement, those are the people that get hurt. Those are the people that let their guard down, because they're not squared
Well,
away.
they're already letting their guard down in life.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Is that so? I see a lot that when police officers go up to a pulled over car, they put a thumbprint on the back of on the trunk.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing. It's taught the old school method, and the reason why a lot of police officers have done that and have been taught that was the old school, that if you stop a car and for the worst case scenario, if that person pulls a gun and shoots you, your thumbprint is on the vehicle and they can pull your print off of that car so that if the person was found, the suspect was found, they can say, okay, this was the car
If the car
based off
fled,
of if the car fled,
yeah, yeah.
because his thumbprint was on the car. But it's 2024. We've got cameras everywhere. We've got Ring doorbells. Chances are the officer's already called out the plate, the make, the model, the color of that vehicle. We have technology on our side. We have body cameras now. So that car is pretty much out there. For me personally, I don't touch the car. I think me personally touching the car gives away my position.
So it's an option.
It is. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
It's taught, but not everybody does it. So
What was it like when the defund situation came around? Could you feel it on a stop? Could you feel it like, within the department? Like, what was the morale like? I mean, I think first of all, I think it's a fucking shame. All that shit is just ridiculous because, those are the people who will call you first when there's an issue. And they
yeah,
don't realize that like they're calling for all this action, but when their loved one gets hit by a car or is involved in an assault, who do they
yeah,
call? I mean, I know there's a lot of criminals who like to deal with things on their own, and they believe that their rules, if everybody's playing along with their rules,
Oh, yeah.
they feel better about it.
Yep.
But what was it like to be in a situation as a police officer when that stuff was going down?
Yeah, that kind of movement of law enforcement a few years ago was tough. I mean,
And you were still new at that point, right?
yeah, I had about 4 years, 4 or 5 years on. We in Warwick and Rhode Island as a whole, other than maybe Providence, uh, we didn't see it and feel it as much. We're great, and Warwick's a great department. It's a great city to work for. The citizens love us. We do a ton with the community, and they appreciate us. And 99% of the people do appreciate law enforcement. And we hear it, we see it, we feel it every single day. But that doesn't make for good news. The only things that make for good news are the bad stories,
Yeah.
the backlash, the complaints. When it's in a bigger city, that's the stuff that makes for good media, not the citizens that go out of their way to bring in food for the police officers to appreciate them. That stuff doesn't make for good media. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
But that's what happens more so than the latter. So in Warwick, we didn't really deal with that. Now, on a smaller scale, yes, we would run into people here and there throughout the city that would kind of feel the need for, yeah, defund and, I'm being, profiled and this isn't fair. We do deal with that, but on a very, very small scale.
When you think about the average criminal, do you think that a lot of it has to do with their upbringing, the people that they surround themselves with? Do you see different parts of Warwick kind of run certain ways because of that area, because of the people? Do you think that they were kind of brought into that life because it's all they know? And do you deal with a lot of people who are actually good people who just are caught up in some shit that, that they're having a hard time getting out of?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in every city that you go to, there's your nice areas, there's your beautiful homes, there's your scenic drives, and then you got your rundown areas of the city. And some cities are worse than others. Like you just said, you went to Philadelphia. There's great parts of Philadelphia, but as a whole, you think Philadelphia, you think dirty, you think crime run. I mean, it is, but for like Warwick, for example, obviously there's some streets that are, the houses are a little bit more run down. There's some Section 8 housing, and you do have some people that live in that area that are a product of that environment that have been brought up differently than somebody else that have different opportunities or, were handed different opportunities on a different side of the city. There's so many different factors, parents, the way they were raised, whether or not they had parents, whether or not they were in school or out of school, whether they got caught up at a young age and it kind of led them down a path of not being able to get certain opportunities because of a mistake that they might have made as a young person. And now that mistake has just trickled, it's snowballed into bigger mistakes or just lack of opportunities. So then you have that person that's kind of stuck in that kind of mindset or that kind of environment, and it's tough for them to get out of. But there's so many different factors that come into play, you know.
Do you feel the need to help those kind of people? Like, if you see someone that has potential to do something else with their life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we deal with a lot of the same people on a day-to-day basis, whether it's mental health. Mental health calls are huge these days. Drug issues, alcohol, obviously. So you obviously run into the same people, and it's like, hey, when are we going to change this outlook? When are we going to change this course? When are you going to get sober? When are you going to get some help, some rehab? Because we don't want to deal with the same people every day. I think every police officer genuinely does feel the want and need to help people, whether it's a good person or whether it's somebody that's misunderstood or had that bad path.
Yeah.
So we do see it, and everybody does try and help at some point. But it's tough, and just like everything in life, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
You can only tell somebody and urge somebody so much to go get help, go get rehab. But if they don't do it, we can't make them do it.
Yeah.
So it's sad sometimes.
Is there some examples of you seeing somebody that was really down and out, and then you see them a few months later, a few years later, and they completely turn their lives around, and they have more respect for your uniform and more respect for just their surroundings?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that must make you feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've dealt with people, who have struggled with alcohol and drug stuff, and
Yeah.
I had one person that I arrested a long time ago for drugs, and they were caught up, they were addicted, doing stupid stuff, stealing, shoplifting to support their fix, support their habit, and it took them getting in trouble, getting caught, to finally turn that light switch on, and it was years later, hey, thanks for jamming me up, almost like,
Yes. Yeah. Seriously.
if it wasn't for you, arresting me and putting me in my place, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So
100%.
that's definitely happened.
Yeah. First of all, I respect what you do 100%. I think it's a very admirable position. Not, like you said, not a lot of people even want to do it right now. It's helping the community in a type of way where I don't think you're going to be able to get that anywhere else, that you
No.
do. What made you become a cop?
I mean, I think I could speak for pretty much every cop that signs up to start, but obviously wanted to help people, and then, arrest the bad guys,
Yeah.
protect the people that need to be protected, and eliminate and get rid of the people off the street that don't deserve to be on the street, or change that outlook. Like I said, if it's somebody that's dealing with a drug addiction, and committing petty crimes to support their habit, sometimes it takes them getting arrested to fix that outlook and fix their path. But obviously, too, to be that middle person between you guys at home trying to enjoy your cookouts with your families and preventing that person from breaking into your house or stealing your car. So it's the drive to help protect the people, whether they call us or don't, from preventing those crimes from happening. So I mean, I can speak for pretty much everybody that's signed up to arrest the bad guys and to help people.
What's one of the biggest problems that you find yourself dealing with on a daily basis?
Within law enforcement,
Yeah.
it's
If
tough.
I had to see from an outside perspective, I would say probably drugs. That would be, drugs
Yeah, I
have
mean,
taken over in such a crazy way.
Yeah, we're never going to win the war on drugs. Never. And never, never, never. I mean, things are being man-made, things are being imported, smuggled. It's a never-ending, it's never going to stop.
What's your overall goal with your future as a police officer? Where would you like to end up in 10 years?
So I'm in a great position where I'm at right now. I could definitely see myself staying in the unit and the job that I have currently right now within law enforcement. I've always enjoyed the drug aspect too of law enforcement. Like I said, catching those smugglers, catching those high-end drug dealers, the bigger fish in the pond.
Some of these guys aren't playing.
No.
Yeah.
No. So, it's good. It's rewarding to catch somebody that's, got a lot of drugs that's going to, hit your streets, and that's going to create the overdose. That's going to create the death. That's going to create the addiction for the trickle down effect for everybody else that's on the street. So if you can catch that big fish, that's a win. But like I said, you're never going to win the war on drugs. The next one's coming up right behind that person. So, but it's almost like it's a game of like hunting.
Does detective interest you at all? I think that would be something, if I was in that position, I would want to strive for.
I feel like if I was in a bigger city or a bigger department where we were dealing with more large scale, crime, like a strict homicide unit, but we don't really have that in Rhode Island in general. Yeah, obviously Providence has more of your homicides and your murders and your gangbangers and stuff shooting. So they deal with that more so than we would in Warwick. So I mean, to be a detective in Warwick right now, it wouldn't interest me.
Just because there's not enough action going.
I wouldn't say
Not
there's
enough
there's always action.
Yeah.
There's always crimes. I
Yeah.
mean, we're constantly busy. So I mean, we do get those big serious calls, and crimes to investigate. So I mean, they definitely have their handful and they do a great job. But me personally, I like being out on the street. I like being on the road. Canine would probably interest me to somewhere
Yeah,
down the line.
that sounds fun.
But I also do a lot with like physical fitness and stuff within the police department. So that's something that keeps me going.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So, you have a great social media. The way you're branding is very, you're on point with that stuff. What made you kind of branch off? And I know it's a love of fitness, but what ultimately made you make the decision that you wanted to start training outside of work?
Yeah. So my injury, really. Being a personal trainer, I've always been a personal trainer for friends, for family. I coach football too. So whether it's training my high school athletes, in an off-season program or during the football season, I've always done that. But I never monetized it. I never advertised it. And partly because I was working so much as a police officer, I never slowed myself down. So when I got hurt, it gave me the time to think, to really sit back and see like what's the bigger picture for me right now, because nothing's guaranteed. I had a serious injury. If something like that's to happen again, what's my fallback if I can't do law enforcement? And I plan to do law enforcement for the rest of my career, but what if?
Yeah, shit happens.
Right. So,
Sure.
And I love my job as a police officer, but I love fitness. Fitness has been my life since I've pretty much been 10, 12 years old, being an athlete. So when I got hurt, it gave me that opportunity to really slow things down, to take a step back, to think. And, it gave me that opportunity to, let me start this, let me go out, take a risk. I knew I wasn't going to fail at it, but I had some minimal goals and, let me see where I can take this, so that's kind of what prompted me into starting, DB Fit.
How do you instill that mindset into other people? Like people who come up to you and want to get in a good shape and they want to change their life and kind of live a healthier lifestyle. What's the number one go-to thing that you do to try to get them on that level of mindset and hard work and dedication?
Well, I think a lot of it's contagious too. So
For sure. That's a good point.
So, for example, a lot of the clients and people that I train, whether I train them in person or online or just people I interact with on my platform, whether they go to another gym or see another trainer, I'm constantly talking to other people. And like I said, it's contagious. They see you, they see results, they see the workouts that you do, the workouts that you're giving others, the results that others are getting, and that kind of just trickles and into a bigger picture. And so I like to say that I've tried to build a community, and that community is growing, and it branches out and it branches out and it branches out. So just like anybody that you might follow that's got a good background in physical fitness, you like their look, right? Or you like their approach, their method, their core values, and you're like, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
you know
That's a major point. There's a lot of influencers who, have these values, have these, like, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking Liver King for some reason, but he instilled those core values that,
yeah,
that,
he got a
that
lot of people
want to
to follow him, whether it's right or wrong or healthy or not healthy. He did a great job.
Did you see how he kind of like laid all that out? Did you see that whole, like, the email fiasco?
Oh yeah.
How insane. Like, it just goes to show that anything really is possible. I mean, this guy had a plan. He implemented the plan, and he just kept going.
He did something that nobody else was doing.
No.
And obviously that gained a lot of attention. And obviously he was really extreme with the things he does. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and eat a cow's head and chop off a bull testicle and eat it.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
hey,
Wild
man,
shit.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's working for him. It's obviously making him money, and he got a lot of people to follow.
Yeah.
And obviously he does things really extreme. But some of the things that he does do, his workouts are intense.
His work ethic is amazing.
Insane.
You cannot take that away from
Insane.
him. You can't
No.
take it away.
You can't. Obviously he's doing a lot of extracurricular stuff to maintain that body, which obviously he got caught up with. But he walks the walk. Like,
I wish he would have just said it from the beginning.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I don't think it would have been a big deal.
No, it
You
wouldn't.
have your natty, you have your not natty.
yeah. People would have just respected him a little bit more. I feel
Yeah,
like.
it's like, yeah, right. I feel like if you would have leaned into that actually a little bit and kind of just like said, hey, this is what I do. It's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm 55 or however old he is. Like, this is what works for me. I don't recommend it, but it is what it is. But what I do, my core values, the way I eat, that is something to say, like, grounding and that stuff really does work. And I feel like recently that stuff is just starting to take off more and more, and people are starting to get on board with just an overall healthy lifestyle. You have your Jordan
Yeah.
Petersons that come out. There's the other guy who was doing carnivore for a while, and people are watching. I mean, there's
Paul Saladino.
yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
He actually just stopped eating carnivore and he's doing something else. Yeah, it's interesting how people want that lifestyle and they don't know where to look. A lot of people don't even know how to eat right.
Yeah,
And when you follow stuff like that, no matter what, you're still retaining that information. And if you follow those steps, I mean, it's gonna work.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How's your eating? What's your diet like?
Yeah. So I kind of adopted like an animal-based approach to my lifestyle. Now, obviously, there's balance. I do enjoy my greasy foods, my donuts, my pastries every once in a while. Who doesn't? But for, I'd say 80-90% of the time, I'm pretty strict.
Yeah.
And I like to eat single ingredient, whole foods, nutrient dense stuff, something that's going to make me feel good, when I eat it. I don't want to feel gluttonous. I don't want to feel run down. I eat to fuel myself. My everyday, my workouts are intense. I want to make sure that I'm recovering or fueling that workout properly. So eating those single ingredient foods, I've tried to eliminate a lot of the processed stuff, to eliminate a lot of, ingredients that you can't read, that you don't know what it is. I'm not a scientist. And I know they
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Obviously there's tons of, people out on Instagram right now that are going into grocery stores and saying, eat this, eat that, don't eat this. Well, if you have somebody that like has never stepped foot into a gym or doesn't know where to start their fitness and they're going from eating Oreos and pizza, introducing
Both things I ate this weekend, by the way.
introducing, or regular soda to get them to just go diet soda.
Yeah.
Everybody's like demonizing diet soda.
Seltzer water, dude.
Yeah. Well, the demon is in the dosages.
Yeah.
Yes, some of these foods and stuff that we consume, they have chemicals in them that are man-made that on a large scale, that if you were to take in a ton of that, like for example, sucralose or aspartame in a diet soda, you'd have to consume hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those sodas for it to have any kind of effect on you.
Right.
And so for me, when I work with a client in a nutrition thing and they're coming from nothing, like I said, if you have to eliminate regular soda and go to diet soda, I'm not going to demonize the diet soda for you.
Yeah.
And if you have to put the Snickers bar down and grab a protein bar, maybe that protein bar doesn't have the most cleanest ingredients, but it's a protein bar at the end of the day. It's got minimal sugars.
And it's also keeping you on that mindset of like, I'm not eating a Snickers bar, at least I'm eating a protein bar.
Yeah.
It's keeping you on
So
track.
you got to go, like fitness stuff is crawl, walk, run. You can't just take somebody that's got no knowledge, no background, and put them in this optimal lifestyle where they're waking up and grounding and eating grass-fed steaks and, doing that. They got to make small choices,
Yeah.
Small victories that are going to amount into that big victory. So maybe it's not getting them on a 5-day workout program, but it's, hey, why don't you take 5 walks this week?
Yeah.
Why don't you put the regular soda down, grab the diet soda? Let's introduce some more water, Instead of having whole milk or, just a Nesquik shake, grab a protein shake from the gas station. Yeah, it might not have the best ingredients for you, but it's better than what you were having. There's good, better, and best options for all food sources, and all supplements. So if you can get somebody that's at the starting point and get them to have that good option, then transition them into a better option, and then soon enough they'll get into the best option. That's the best course for people. That's how somebody's going to be able to maintain and stay consistent, where they're not feeling like overwhelmed with, I have to eliminate every single thing that I've ever been eating and read all these labels and get into this diet that they have no idea what it's about. It's just, you know taking those small little changes and making those swaps, and then you transition.
It's what it's what really feels good for you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
What works for you?
some
Because
people
there's
like to fast, some people like to do
yeah.
cardio, some people are vegetarian, whatever works for you, but at some point everybody struggles, they want to see results, so it's like you got to follow a program. You got to stick to something. You can't just hop on a diet for 30 days and then, be done with it.
What kind of program would you lay out to somebody who comes to you, say they're 28% body fat, their eating is not well, they've never trained before? What would be the first couple steps that you make them?
Yeah, so I put everybody through like an intake form, like an assessment form that gets me some better knowledge about their history, their background, what they're currently doing, so I can get a better idea of, all right, how am I going to tackle this situation? I would ask for somebody's food recall, the last 7 days, to the best of your ability, what did you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How often did you eat? How much water did you consume? How's your sleep? Are you taking any supplements? So I like to get all that kind of knowledge up front to see what I'm working with. But like I said, if it's somebody that's, not eating the best, trying to get them just on a consistent meal plan. If they've gone from no cardio, I'm not going to just put them into like a hit workout. Let's set a goal for your steps. Let's try and get anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Let's get you moving more, right? Because that in and of itself can prompt, a kickstart of results. And if you're drinking a ton of soda, we eliminate those sodas. We eliminate that sugar, and people can lose weight just off of that.
Yeah, I've seen it. We have somebody that works for me that was drinking soda, a ton of cream and sugar in their coffee, small things that I adjusted that she didn't really know about, and she ended up losing 70 pounds within like 3 months.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Just from soda,
Easy.
just from drinking black coffee.
Yep.
And I believe she started eating, a lot of protein-based foods, a lot of nutrient-dense foods, and I mean, her whole life changed. And explain how routine and stuff like that has changed your life. Like, what has it done for the success in your life? And I'm sure you can attribute most of that routine based stuff that you do to the success that you've
Yeah, well, I
achieved.
mean, with everything, you have to remain consistent, in order to see results.
That's one of my favorite words.
You have to.
Consistency.
You have to be consistent. Like, you can't just start a diet plan or a workout plan and then after a week be like, oh, I'm not seeing results. Well, you haven't even laid the groundwork yet. So that has to build time. So for example, when I put somebody on a diet plan, I don't make changes to their diet until I see at least about 2 weeks. So I want to see them push consistency. I want to see how their body reacts to an influx of food or a change of food or, an increase in water. So I can't just have them say after 3 days, well, oh, I feel bloated, I'm eating too much. Well, you haven't even given your body a chance. One of the analogies I like to give people in regards to eating is your body's a fire, right? In order to keep a fire burning, you have to keep throwing logs on it, right? Your body's the same way. In order to keep that metabolism burning calories, you have to keep giving it fuel. Otherwise, your body will go into like a hibernation mode and just store, store, store.
How often do you eat? Do you eat every few hours?
Yeah, I'm about 4 to 6 meals, depending on
Yeah.
how crazy or hectic my schedule is that day.
That's where we're struggling. We're trying to lay that down, but it's
Yep.
tough, man.
It is tough.
Yeah.
If you're go, 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 like, I mean, you grind all day with different jobs and stuff. So, and you got kids and, relationships. So it's tough.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the lifestyle that they can dedicate, this is my full day. I can train for 2 hours. I can set aside 6 meals. I can prep. Everybody's got something on their plate.
Yeah.
But if you can fall into that, 4 to 6, 3 to 6 meals a day, you know.
Would you go higher calorie meals if you're not eating as many meals throughout the day?
Yeah. So for example, right now, like my animal based, I'm doing like 3 large meals, a big breakfast, a big lunch, and a big dinner. And each meal is about a little over 1,000 calories for me. You know, and when I get hungry in between, I'll snack on some good healthy foods. Maybe it's a protein shake, maybe it's some yogurt, maybe it's some fruit. So, but those I might consider a meal. You know, I might consider a big cup of Greek yogurt with a handful of fruit and some almonds. That might be a meal. It might be a snack for most people, but I would consider that a meal in between. But if you're struggling to get in those 4 to 6 consistent meals and you can only get those three, yeah, maybe you'd stack those up a little bit more so
Yeah.
you're hitting your macros.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find a lot of my nutrient clients, my diet clients struggle with, 99% of them, they're under eating.
Yeah.
You know, especially women.
Yep.
Women are highly, highly under eating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like to get people to hit their whatever their body weight is now. I would say that's what you need to shoot for in grams of protein a day. So if you're a 150-pound female, 150 grams of protein. But they hear that number, they see that number, and they're like, I can't eat that much food. But you don't realize that if you spread that out, you know, over 4 to 6 meals, you're going to obtain that so easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Have you ever messed with intermittent fasting?
I personally haven't, just because I like to eat. Like I wake up. I wouldn't say that I work out fasted. I've done it before. I've done fasted cardio, but I don't feel strong. Like if I'm going to work out with weights and lift, I need to eat. You know, I need something in my stomach.
I think that's the best course. I believe that fasted cardio, it's a good way to burn fat, but I think you're burning a lot of muscle as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Some people can't work out with food in their stomach, you know, but I would at least try and tell them, like a lot of my clients that have super early workout routines in the morning, you know, I can't eat a meal. I don't have the time to sit down and cook and eat a meal. I don't want to drink a shake because I don't want to feel that jostling around in my stomach.
Yep.
So what I would tell them is have something quick that your body can immediately use as fuel. So that might be a couple tablespoons, 1 or 2 tablespoons of honey.
I was going to bring
Right?
it up. I
Or
see
a
that you
rice
eat a
cake,
lot of honey.
or some, you know, an apple, a small serving of fruit. Having a kid now, I'm not gonna lie, I steal that kid's pouches every single day. His applesauces,
Yeah.
15 grams of carbs, like my body's gonna use that as fuel right away. It's quick. I'm out the door. I suck it down in 2 seconds, and I'm good to go. And I
Yep.
feel that jolt of energy. I have a little bit of fuel to fuel my workout if I'm in a time hack or a pinch for my workout. But you know, that's what I would recommend to people.
Isn't it incredible how when you get to that point where you're really dialing in on your diet, you can feel everything that you eat, and like that, like you said, that applesauce, not the average person wouldn't be able to feel that jolt of energy because they're eating so much other stuff.
Oh yeah.
If you keep it clean and you keep, you know, nutrient dense foods, you know, high protein, and you're doing a lot of vegetables, just clean food, when you introduce something like honey or an applesauce or something like that, you can feel that energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can work with that. I mean, that's why they have Rice Krispie treats at the gym. You know, I see a lot of bodybuilders take down 2 Rice Krispie treats right before they work out because of the sugar. I've never done it, but I see that kind of stuff.
I think it's just a fad. I think it absolutely does nothing for you.
The Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna have sugar before a workout, I at least want that sugar to be nutrient dense.
Honey?
Like honey is good for you.
Yeah.
You know, Rice Krispies, there's a ton of chemicals in it. It's
man.
shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just to look cool. Every bodybuilder's doing it, but it's not doing anything for you. That Rice Krispie treat is giving you zero nutritional value.
Yeah.
None at all. It's giving you an insulin spike and you're gonna crash. You know, so why not have the same amount of sugars in a fruit, where that fruit's got vitamins, it's got minerals. You know, it's cool. It's a blue wrapper. Everybody's doing it, so I'm gonna do it.
There's so many fads that like we see stuff that's ridiculous, man. Like we saw the other day, like what was it that was bad for you? Like there's just like there's videos constantly coming out like you can't eat this anymore because this is bad. It's just like
It's hilarious.
for everybody who's listening that wants to just dial in on a diet, just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Like try not to ingest all that information because you have this side, you have this side, you have the middle. You know, there's so many different things, you know, that might work for that particular person, but it may not work for you. It may throw off your entire diet. It may want you to go eat more of this. Like you eat, you know, it's so to dial in, you have to be careful listening to all of this content out there because a lot of it's crap.
Yeah, like I said, the demon's in the dosage. You know, so yeah, diet soda's got some stuff in it that's probably not the best for you,
Yeah.
but on a really high end amount to consume. So if you're drinking regular soda, eliminate it, go to a diet soda. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to do anything wrong.
Yep. Let's talk about manifestation a little bit. That's something that we talk about often on this podcast. It's something that we implement in our lives daily. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of, at the end of the day, we have a talk while we're laying in bed reading a book, and we'll kind of lay out the month ahead. And we'll say, these are our goals. This is what we want to accomplish. And a lot of the times we make it happen.
Yeah.
We end up putting that into real life. And it's, you know, a lot of people get hung up by these ideas that they have and these goals that they have. But that step of actually doing them and implementing them is, you know, it can be hard for some people. Do you believe in manifestation? Do you implement it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always, part of my intake form in regards to like a workout program or a diet plan that I'm giving somebody, I always ask them, one, what's your short-term goal? And two, what's your long-term goal? But what's a short-term goal is I want something that you know that if you put your mind to it and stay consistent, you can achieve it. Something obtainable that you can reach out, you can grab that. So I wouldn't want somebody's short-term goal, 2 months to lose 50 pounds. That's not going to happen.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah,
right
let's
there,
lower it. Let's
Yeah.
lose 5, 10 pounds,
Yep.
or let's go from a 2XL to an XL. Maybe your long-term goal, 6 months to a year, could be that 25 to 30 to 40 pound goal, right? But you need to be able to reach out and grab that. And it's got to be something that, if, like I said, if you stay consistent and put your mind to it, that it's going to be attainable. So it's stacking up those small goals, those small victories that's going to amount to that overall end goal, right? So yeah, absolutely. I definitely implement that.
Do you
So
pay?
you believe then that manifestation isn't just about thinking about what you want, it's actually putting action behind what you're thinking
You
about
have you
what
have
you
to
want.
you have to put the action in.
A lot of people think that when you talk about manifestation, it's only you're daydreaming about what it is that you want. You want the big house, you want the car, I'm going to manifest it. But really what people are missing is there's two parts to it. Yes, you have to dream about what you want, but you also have to put in all the hard work that
Yep.
people don't see for that manifestation to come true.
Yep. So for example, I mean, one of my goals was to always open and own a gym. That's a long-term goal. That's a manifestation that I've always dreamt of, having a sick gym of community of people that came and worked out at my playground, something that I could call mine, my home. That wouldn't happen. It's going to be happening soon. It's in the works right now. But if I didn't start my personal training, if I didn't start taking on clients, if I didn't start grinding, 12 hours a day with working out with clients, that would never happen. So you got to start with the hard work, the
Yeah.
groundwork, the foundation
Mm-hmm.
to get to that point, and that's the same with work. That's the same with fitness. That's the same with diets. That's the same with the relationship. I want to get married someday. Well, that's great. We all, a lot of people do, but you got to go through some trials, some tribulations.
You got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work with the
Yeah.
relationship to get to that point. You can't just skip from A to B, or A to Z.
Yeah.
You got to go do all the work in between.
You do a program on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Savage Saturdays. That's something that I kind of just,
Ash, can you pull up his Instagram really quick? It's DB Fit
DB Fit
401.
401.
DB Fit 401. Yeah, talk about that a little
So
bit.
Savage Saturdays is something I kind of just made up off the cuff. I know a ton of personal trainers. There's a lot of great personal trainers in the area. I didn't see anybody kind of doing these outdoor boot camps. And like I said, I like to keep fitness fun. So taking it outdoors, getting a community of people and kind of go through a grueling workout and kind of all embracing the suck together.
Yeah.
It's rewarding. It brings people together, but then also doing a lot of unorthodox stuff. So like I bring a big giant punching bag. That was kind of like the basis of what Savage Saturday was for me. Like, I want you guys to take out your anger, punch something, hit something. What's a savage? Somebody that's going to be relentless.
Here it is right here.
So
Who does all your pictures and stuff? Like who put that together?
my wife does a lot of my Canva work for me.
That's good.
She's great. She's my little nerd behind the scenes.
That's awesome.
I love the relationship you and JC have
yeah,
together. So do
yeah.
you run the Savage Saturdays together? I see
Well,
that
she
she
does.
works out.
She joins in all the classes, but she does a lot of the background work for me, the advertisement. I'm not the most tech savvy,
Yeah.
so anytime I need like a photo edited or like, hey, how do I add this, sound or like making the flyer that I did, she's my brainiac.
How's the
when it comes to
turnout
that.
at these things right now?
So far, I've pretty much sold out every single
That's
time.
awesome,
So I kind of do it pop-up style.
Yep.
Like I never really know what date I'm gonna do. Like for example, for June, I'm probably gonna do the end of June, whether it's the second or last week of June. But I'll kind of announce it, a week, 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And I have 20 slots a session. I bring all of my gym equipment, so I gotta load up my car, bring it to wherever I'm doing it. And I like to do it at different locations, different scenery, get people, because I got people coming from all over the state. So I try and incorporate, like, I don't want to do it at the same location and make somebody have to drive like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I like to find new places.
That's
much-
excellent because
So-
we have the next spot. I was telling Michael
We were
that
gonna
I
go,
wanted.
weren't we? And we were traveling that weekend.
Well, no, you were working that weekend,
Oh,
that
yeah.
Saturday, but I'm talking about there's this area at Forecourt in Cumberland
yeah.
Yeah.
that it's just run down. It's such a waste
you
of
were saying that,
space.
yeah.
I really believe that like people like us could get together, rehab it. We can put banners on the fence like DB Fit, Cess Construction, everything, and just revive it because
Yeah.
it's such a great space. They have the tires, they have obstacles
Yeah,
that we
it's
could
cool,
really and now that Planet Fitness bought Max Fitness,
Yep.
all of those people are coming to Forecourt, so the volume is double. We could really just do some pop-ups there and but paint it, make it look beautiful again,
doctor it
and
up a little
really
bit, yeah.
branch out that way because Cumberland is a wonderful city. Is it a city or town?
Town.
Yeah. But it needs more things that are involved with fitness, especially for children. We've got a lot of obese children. I mean, our entire country. But if we could do pop-up sessions for adults, but also
And
do
kids, too.
families and
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
we could just change lives and make people happy.
Yep.
Like you were saying earlier, it's contagious.
Yeah, it is.
People want to know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like we're just being normal. We're just going to the gym, eating, changing different things, being with our family, but others want to know how to get in on that.
Yeah.
And we could really make a huge
Yeah,
impact.
it's super important too. Like if you do have kids, for them to see you doing that,
Absolutely.
and that's contagious for them. So
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, we have some little ones, and they definitely are getting, Cashton, he loves working out. He sees what we do, and they're all jumping on board. It's such a great feeling to see too.
yeah, my kid's 17 months old, and he'll come into my gym and roll around the 25-pound medicine ball.
Yeah, he wants to be like
Grab
that.
the 4-pound dumbbells.
Yep.
He's playing with the resistance bands. He's in the last video of the Savage Saturday that I had made, and every time he sees
Is it
that,
on Instagram?
yeah,
Pull that up, Ash.
every time he sees that punching bag, he's hitting it.
Is this cap?
No, sometimes. So a friend of mine, Defy Minds, he came out to the workout.
Oh
and-
wow, you bring a lot of stuff out there.
Oh yeah,
Yes, you
yeah. I bring a lot of equipment. So he filmed that for me. He put together a video, a bunch of photos. It was a lot of great content. But there's a couple spots, and you can see Julian. He's getting on top of the punching bag, playing around with it.
That's awesome, man. You're made for this stuff.
Yeah, man.
You
I
really
mean,
are.
I go through this. Like I would never put somebody through something that I haven't done or
Yep.
wouldn't want to do myself. And a lot of people get it reluctant when I post this because they see, oh, Savage Saturdays. Well, I'm not a savage. I can't do that workout. I have all walks of life coming to my workout. I had a guy last week, 62 years old. He just started working out like 3 months ago. Not the best of shape, but he got through it.
How do you reach out to you? How do you find you? Just through your social?
He came through a friend.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of new people that I've never met before that I've
This is so
heard
cool.
about it, saw about it.
This is so cool.
It came out. So
I want to give a shout out. Go back, Ash. There's a set of weights that you showed me when we first met. See those weights?
so that's X Master Official. It's a company out of China. I met one of their sales distributors, who's a personal trainer in Rhode Island, Will Wu. He runs an amazing private personal training gym in Providence. But we got to talking, we connected, and he told me that he works for this company, and I was like, dude, I need those dumbbells. Like
They're
nobody else.
comfortable.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Nobody else has it because I have adjustable dumbbells that go from 5 to 80
Yeah.
for a lot of my clients.
How do you like those? Those things get stuck whenever every time I use
Mine
them.
are great. The SmartFit
Yeah,
Duo bells,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I haven't really had any issues with them. But for my training, I needed something heavier. So I ordered a set of 80s to 110s. And I wanted something nice, something somebody else didn't have,
Yeah.
you know, because it draws your attention when you walk into the gym. That's the first thing that people see.
Is that your home?
Yeah, that's
So
my
you
house.
built is
Yep.
that your garage? You built a gym out of
Yep.
your garage?
Yeah, I turned the whole garage
Do you
into a
bring
gym.
clients to your gym?
Yeah, that's where I do all of my training out
yeah.
of. Yep, I do one-on-ones or small group. Like I can accommodate. Like the most I've had is 3 people at once, you know, and I'll try and find something for everybody to do and kind of rotate them around. But I'm strictly pretty much a one-on-one or a one-on-two
Yeah.
in the gym because it's a small footprint. It's only like 220 square
Do
feet.
you want something bigger eventually? Oh, you want a gym?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you want to do a whole gym.
I've got something in the works right now.
Awesome, man.
So hopefully that'll come soon. I'm trying to buy a house first, so I don't
Yeah.
want to mess that up.
Yep.
So first the house, and then I'll tackle the private gym aspect of it.
You
But
gonna buy an investment property, or are you gonna buy a single family?
just trying to buy a single family, trying
Yeah.
to upgrade. We're trying to expand the family. So
What do you into stocks or anything, or any investments outside?
no, I'm not. I mean, I do investments through work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, aside from like the pension. But I've never been able to get into it. I'm just not knowledgeable. I have a few friends that are like really into it, you know,
You're still young. You're 33.
about to be 33.
If
yeah.
you start putting some money away in an S&P 500 or a good, Google or Amazon or some of these big corporations that probably are never going to fail, it can really make a difference.
Oh,
man.
I know. I
Really.
just got to set my head down and,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
could sit down. We'll sit down and I'll show you just
I'd love to.
the basics, because you throw, a few $100 a week into some of these stocks,
yeah.
within a couple years, man, you can really,
I know,
really
see
be
that money
financially
grow.
free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about let's talk about injuries and how they suck so bad, because there's something. I have a knee injury that I've been dealing with for a while. I got a cortisone shot, which was the worst thing I did, because I feel like I injured it more while the cortisone shot was in effect.
Oh, of course. Cortisone's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it was the worst thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
Have you ever gotten one?
Dude, when I played college football, I exceeded the amount of cortisone shots that you can get in a year in about 3 months. Because I had torn up my knees pretty bad.
The knees suck. That's
Oh,
one of the worst injuries.
Yeah, that's been my kryptonite is my knees.
Yeah.
So
I love squatting, and I can't do it properly because of my left knee, and I'm starting to feel my right knee now. A lot of people don't understand that with this hard work and with this dedication, it does come with a lot of injuries. How do you deal with them? How do you,
Yeah.
what are some of the injuries that you're dealing with?
like I said, I've gone through the ringer with my fair share of injuries, torn ligaments. I've torn both quad tendons on both knees. So, I mean, I've definitely had to learn different ways to adapt, how to modify workouts, how to recover, listen to your body. Now, like I said, my game is longevity. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of prep work. I never used to warm up in the gym. And now I have a strict like routine that I go through to warm up, whether it's
How long does it take you to warm up?
10 minutes.
Yeah,
It's part of it's a lot of accessory work. It's, you know, movements that are going to set me up for the movements that I'm doing that day. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff, stretching, mobility with weights, just a lot of functional stuff that's going to correlate into the workout that I'm doing for that day. I think everybody needs to do that because that's when you're going to get hurt. If you just go into a workout cold,
Yep.
that's
Do you have
the
any
rest.
shoulder problems?
Knock on wood. No,
Yeah,
I've never had a
those are
shoulder
bad too,
issue.
man.
Just been knees and obviously the back. But something that I've gotten into recently is a complex. It's a peptide.
BPC 157.
BPC
I take that every day.
157 TB 500.
Yep, I take that every day.
They obviously do it. Nasal spray I found has worked pretty well. They do have pills. The best way to take it is injectable, and you inject it right into wherever your ailment or injury is. And it's
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I usually just did it right in like my stomach fat.
You can, but the best practice is wherever, like if you've got a knee issue,
Oh, I didn't know
find
that.
the closest joint or muscle that you can inject it to right into your knee.
Huh.
Yeah. Yep.
What's,
So recently, a couple months ago, I had a horrible tear in my lower abdomen, probably a hernia, like gruesome, stabbing pain, couldn't stretch, couldn't run, nothing. And me being stubborn, I kind of just worked through it. It wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. I started taking the BPC 157 and the TB 500 every day, injecting it right into my, lower abdomen. and it's pretty much healed. I'm at like 100% right
What
now.
is the TB500? That's something I don't even know about.
I don't have the exact scientific terms.
Can you pull that up, Ash? That's
It's another healing peptide.
Yeah.
That really works well with the BPC 157. I mean, the two of them combined, they call it the Wolverine peptide, for a reason.
Yeah.
It's just insane healing properties. And obviously, too, I don't know if you've noticed from taking the BPC, but that's also a gut peptide. So it helps fix, they prescribe BPC 157 to people that have like leaky gut issues. So I noticed that when I take BPC, I kind of feel a little bit leaner. My regularity is better. My gut health feels better.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things that does too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that's just an added benefit.
So yeah, I take it in capsule form. I started with the injectables. There's a site that I get all my stuff on. It's Naps Gear or something. And there's also a company called Swiss Chems that's really good.
Yep, I've heard of Swiss Chems.
Swiss Chems is
Yeah.
good. But when I do not take it, when I forget, I feel it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Peptides, man, if you use them properly, they can really, really benefit you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get blood work done quarterly.
Yeah, I try to,
I
too.
work with a company called Transcend. It's kind of blown up on Instagram and throughout like the professional.
Where's that at?
They're out of Michigan. It's
So you send your stuff in?
yeah, yep. I deal with
Do you have to go to a lab to do that?
Yeah, I go to a lab for the blood work, but everything else I deal with like over the phone, like telehealth. If you look them up on Instagram, Transcend HRT.
HRT.
A lot of
So
professional
right
bodybuilders.
there, Ash, if you click on Matrix Hormones, right down there, TB500.
For active individuals or anyone grappling with persistent discomfort, injury, or physical strain. It's an ally for maintaining an active lifestyle without the setbacks of pain and slow recovery.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest thing is it's going to reduce inflammation
Right.
along with the BPC.
That's major.
Huge.
Inflammation is a silent stopper.
It's a killer.
Yeah, it really
It's a
is.
killer.
That's one of the biggest things. I have this something going on my elbow right now, and when I take the BP, it goes away.
I take fish oil is good for that too, for
Yep.
inflammation, joint health, but then collagen.
Turmeric is
too. I love
amazing.
taking turmeric,
Yeah.
collagen peptides. I think everybody should be taking it. There's so many benefits. You're obviously getting protein. For women, it's the beauty protein for your hair, skin, and nails, tightens your skin, but it's also great for your joints and ligaments. So I usually always try and add that into people's diets. It's just another easy way, non-filling way to get an extra 10, 20 grams of protein in without feeling full. It's just if you're short on your macros at the end of the day, you throw a scoop into your protein shake. You throw a scoop into your Gatorade because it's unflavored a lot of times. They have vanilla mocha flavored, so if you want to add it into your morning coffee, now your coffee is a protein coffee, right? So you're starting off your day fueling right off the grip.
What about testosterone? You mess with testosterone at all?
Yeah, I've been on TRT for a few years. Yep.
What are the benefits that you've seen from that?
Mood,
Yeah.
libido, strength, fat loss. I noticed that, if I've been low or off, obviously I'm sluggish,
Yeah, for
tired,
sure.
maybe a little less motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed some water retention, some weight gain. Your motivation's a little bit down, and that's the shitty that us men deal with. I know women deal with the same thing when it's their time of the month, similar, feelings and
You're drained.
difficulty, drained. Yeah, you just don't feel yourself. So I feel like men deal with the same thing if their testosterone is not in check. And that's why I get my blood work done, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I know.
You can be taking all this stuff, eating right, working out, but if something under the hood is not right, and you don't have the correct method or approach to fix what's going on under the hood, like a car, I mean, your car might look great on the outside, but if it's leaking transmission fluid or oil, your car's not going to run the best, So I always implore people to get checked.
Anything that's ever become a concern with your blood work?
I've had some higher, red blood cell
Liver enzymes and
count,
stuff.
liver enzymes, that kind of stuff.
I think that just comes with TRT.
It does. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of just a known side effect of it. But people abuse it, man.
Yeah.
I see all these kids, and that kind
Yeah,
of
they're doing 300 mgs
it's
every
crazy.
3 days.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
You don't need a lot. You just need a little bit. You just need whatever your body should be regulating and producing on its own.
What's the number that you try to stay at?
I'm at 120, 150 a week. It's not a lot.
Testosterone level.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Overall,
Yeah.
if I can stay around 700, 800, I
Yeah,
feel
that's
good.
where I'm at.
Yeah.
I try to stay around 800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see a lot of kids now, though. Instagram and social media is a huge
And all that shit.
Yeah, man. You got these 18-year-old kids that are looking to take this crazy amount of gear because they want the quick fix.
Listen,
Everybody wants a quick fix.
Listen, for everybody who's listening to this, you mess around with trend and stuff like that, you will die. You will die young.
Yeah, you can't, man. You're gonna set
It's
yourself up for a
hardcore shit.
lot of lifetime complications.
Yeah. And that's something that we just don't think of in the moment. Like, we want the success, we want the physique, we want to feel better, we want to look better, but you have to, like the longevity thing. It's like, you know, you're no good if you're sick. Like you said something to me the other day that resonated with me. I think about it a lot. When you're gone, nobody's going to look at you in your casket and say, wow, he was really big. You know,
Exactly.
he could bench, 3, whatever. It's
Cool.
yeah. It's like, no, you're not going to be known for that shit.
Yeah,
You're going to be
I know.
known for the stuff that you do,
I know.
being a good father, being a good role model to your community. So, like, you got to be careful with that stuff. And I'm all for testosterone. I think that, it's helped me in so many ways.
Well, it's what makes a man a man.
Yeah, for sure.
You need it.
And
if your levels aren't low or your levels aren't up to par,
yeah,
well, then you're not going to be operating at the level that you should be
Yeah.
or want to be. And that goes back to just people don't know what they don't know. And I get a lot of guys that work with me and they're like, oh, tired. I'm not motivated. I'm like, well, when's the last time you got your blood work checked? What's your levels at? Well, I have no idea.
yeah.
And then they get their levels checked and they're like 200, 300. I'm like, well, that explains it.
I have gotten blood work back where my test levels were like 180.
Oh, I've
And
been low.
I felt it. I told her one day, I said, something's not right. I was sluggish. I was always tired, and I'm on the go 24/7. I mean, I don't stop. I literally got home at, I don't know, 4. I took a quick half-hour nap, and she woke me up, was like, we got to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's my life every day.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, man, it's
Well, unfortunately, there's so many different factors that play a role in a male's testosterone, just like a female's estrogen levels. Your lack of sleep, your stress, if your cortisol levels are high and you're not sleeping a lot and your diet's crap, well, then that's automatically going to shoot your levels low.
Yeah.
If the food you're eating is high, sugar foods, processed foods, not nutrient dense foods, that can lower your testosterone. So the foods we eat, and it's unfortunate that like every freaking chicken breast out there is pumped with,
I know, dude.
all these hormones, so the food we're eating, the chemicals, everything the deodorant that you're putting on, all that kind of stuff plays a role.
Yeah.
Like your shampoos,
Toothpaste,
you don't think about it.
everything.
Toothpaste, dude.
Everything.
You don't think about all these little things on a small cellular level, but that's affecting what's going on underneath the hood.
Yeah.
And it's
and
crazy.
It's so hard to gauge because, like you said, like the chicken breast, it's just like you would think you can go to the grocery store and get chicken, grill it up, and you're eating, it. But that stuff's pumped, like you said. There's so many hormones in that, and it's tough to really, get on a. So that's why testosterone can come into play, because it kind of balances that stuff.
Yep.
You ever mess with like MK677 or anything
I tried
like
it.
that?
I tried it. I tried a couple of the SARMs, and
You know what? It made me strong as hell, and I got huge from it.
same.
But I didn't feel good.
I didn't feel good either
Yeah.
because it made me super hungry.
I felt like I don't know, elasticy. Like
yeah, your joints hurt.
I felt like swollen all the time.
That and it made me eat like a horse.
Yeah,
so
me
I
too.
gained a lot of
I'm
weight.
sorry. I took it and
Yeah,
I
she loved it.
loved
She
it.
loved it.
Yeah.
I did get the side effects of the joints and all of that.
You
but
couldn't even put
I
your rings
felt
on.
like I couldn't wear rings at
Yeah.
all. But I felt like Superwoman. Going to
Oh, I
the
believe it.
gym, just lifting weights was I just can't explain. So what I wonder is, why do we have the ability to feel that good off of a peptide, but it's really not good for us? Why? It doesn't make sense to me.
Like he was
uh,
saying, it's in moderation. I feel.
Yeah. Well,
obviously
we were
there's some
taking it in
there's some
moderation.
SARMs and some peptides that you probably shouldn't take or aren't the best for you. MK is probably one of the safest ones. I actually had it prescribed to me for a while for sleep.
Really?
I was taking it at
Really?
night for sleep because it releases your growth hormone levels, which is huge for your REM cycle sleep.
How much weight did you gain? I gained like 17 pounds.
Dude, I probably put on 10, 15 pounds. It was good weight.
Yeah, me too,
But
yeah.
obviously, I felt heavy
Yeah.
because I was probably 285.
That's
like I was
insane.
a moose, Yeah, but
Yeah, I got up to like 250. It was retarded. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
yeah.
We were doing Rad 140 and MK. But yeah, I mean, but I could tell like there was something that was just off. So I dipped it and probably try it again eventually. Like I'm at the point right now where I'm trying to lower my body fat a little bit more. So I'm really trying to be careful on when I'm eating, my sleep, which is just something we have a hard time dialing in on.
Yeah, because you're
Yes.
on the go.
Yeah, man.
I
All the
I'm
time.
lucky if I get 5 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
Same.
And I
How does
know,
that affect you?
dude, it's crazy. And I like no matter what supplement you're doing, what diet plan you're doing, what workout you're doing, sleep is the number one thing for recovery.
Yeah.
To fuel, to recover, to grow. And if your sleep's not on par, well, then everything else is kind of got to play catch up. And I know that. My sleep is horrible. I could probably do much better with my sleep, but I'm taking clients, at 5 a.m. I'm waking up at 4:30 to get the gym ready, to get myself ready, turn the coffee pot on, and my normal work schedule, I'm working till 11 o'clock at night. So I get home 11. By the time I decompress, shower, get
1 o'clock,
changed, it's, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I
Yeah.
got to be up at 4:30.
Yeah.
So it's just a grind, you get used to it. Sucks. But, that's one of the,
Yeah,
one of the drawbacks.
We can feel it, man. When we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get sleep, we feel it. I especially, it's like you're foggy. You're not thinking clearly. It's like when you get that 6 to 8 hours of sleep, there's just a massive difference
Oh, crazy.
in the way you function.
Yep.
When we met, you had said that you were getting involved in SWAT a little bit. Is that something that you're still doing?
Yeah. So I'm on the SWAT team at our department. So we train usually twice a month. Our fitness standards are a little bit higher than, like I said, when you get on the department, there's your normal fitness standard. We train at a higher, like say you have to pass at like 40%. We're required to pass at like 60 or 70%. So it's just a higher standard for us.
Is it a full-time position?
No, it's
Is it because of the
part-time.
area?
Yeah, there's no full-time positions in Rhode Island. Just because
Would
of the
there ever
size.
be a place that you could move? Like, would you ever consider moving somewhere where that's just like a full-time thing that you do?
There's a lot of gigs out there that are full-time SWAT guys.
Yeah.
You look at your large-scale departments like Dallas, LA.
Yeah.
Those are full-time SWAT operators.
It just seems fun to me.
It is. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great training. The camaraderie is awesome. Like I work on at a police department of, top to bottom, we're probably anywhere between 165 to 180. Our SWAT team's about 20 guys. We're close, and we would do everything to protect each other. And that's the way we train.
It's like the Green Beret of the police. Like in the military, there's the SEALs and the Green Beret. It sounds like the SWAT team is.
Yeah,
that
obviously we
police
train
officers.
for the worst possible case scenarios. To react, to prevent, what if type stuff. So that extra training alone is awesome for when I get a normal routine call on the road, during an everyday shift. So if it's, a domestic, like you said, approaching a house, or a patrolman with, maybe 2-3 years on the job that doesn't have the training that we go through might approach the house differently than I would. I might look around a room or a corner differently than somebody else. I approach a car differently. I pull up a different way. I have different tactics, and that's just stuff that we've been taught. We drill, we train. It's like you do it with your eyes closed almost. You know what the guy in front of you is doing. You know what the guy behind you and to the side and to the left and the right of you doing. Everybody has a job, and you know that you have to do that job.
When you go home at the end of the day, do you decompress to your wife? Do you kind of, I know it's,
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I like to keep things, at work. I don't always like to bring work home, because then you're just bringing that stress home, So as much as I can, I try and leave it at the door, you know. But there's obviously days and nights and calls that, I don't have anybody else to talk to. So yeah, she catches an earful of, the stressors that I might have gone through, which is good. She's great at listening. She's great at talking,
Yeah, you guys seem like you have a really solid
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah. So, and that's important, for me to get off my chest,
Yeah.
because we can't bottle that up,
Yeah.
and I've seen some gruesome stuff, some stuff that people would never dream of seeing or dealing with, I've dealt with it. So that's tough to go home to, your everyday life where you think everything's hunky dory, there's no problems, but I just dealt with a problem that nobody would ever dream of,
Yeah. I can kind of relate to that a little bit with Sheena. She's seen some crazy stuff in combat, and you just listen, and sometimes that stuff you can't hold in, and it's
Yeah.
stuff that you're never going to forget. And, you know, I respect the both of you for what you've done. And, you know, I respect what you do 100%. I appreciate what you do. I just want to say thank you from everybody for being
Appreciate
that
it,
public
man.
servant. I'm
Thank you.
super glad we met.
Yeah.
Everybody go check out DB Fit on Instagram, Savage Saturdays. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep grinding.
Appreciate it, man.
It was a pleasure.